I'm Johan Roshivega here in our sound room in Holyoke Media from our studios in One Core Plaza, Holyoke, Massachusetts. I want to welcome Dan Battat, and we are here to talk about a little bit of what has been your work for many years here in Holyoke and what is that you are currently doing that always has been something involving your work, creativity, and engaging directly with the community, something that I really want to show my gratitude for it because it's been really instrumental in many different projects that you have been involved. So Dan, welcome.
Thank you, Johan. Great to be here. Yeah, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what it has been for the past years, some of the most important and relevant work that you have been doing with creative work and handcraft, and then what is leading to what you're doing now.
Great. Well, my background and what brought me into Holyoke was making glass art. So I have a small glass art studio here in town. And what has always, part of what's appealed to me with glass, and really it's just because how I learned, was through learning to teach. So I became really involved in wanting to offer, classes in glass, knowing that it's something really cool and something that helped. When I found glass, it changed my life. And melting glass with fire and using that craft process to create art, was life-altering. It was crazy. So it gave me a purpose. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to share. And so over the last 10 years, slowly at times and struggling at times and really doing great in others, building that studio and space to share the craft. And also that brought me into working with other organizations around Holyoke, including starting to work as an art teacher. So taking the teaching aspect of my craft, but removing it from the glass and just teaching other art, which is what brought me to kind of my most current position, which is actually running an after-school program. When I started working as an art teacher, I found this organization, the Care Center, and I engaged with them for a few years and then left to return to glassblowing full-time, and am now back with them, working more directly with youth in Holyoke.
How the work recently has evolved from the experiences from past years, seeing how the community responds, how the students react to this work, especially when possibly this may be the very first time in their lives getting in touch with this type of work, which is so ancient and so full of richness and history and ways of representation of cultures and identities. But at the same time, somehow it feels like it's lost from the view of the masses.
Yeah, well, traditionally, glass, as you mentioned, it is an ancient craft, thousands of years old, perhaps dating back to Israel, Egypt, origin slightly unknown. But in the 1600s, the Venetians developed glassblowing techniques like it hadn't been done before, to the degree that it became their national treasure, and that glassblowers were relegated to an island to create their work and not allowed to leave the island, punishable by death, to protect the secrets of the craft. And now that's changed drastically, but I think that element still exists, that it's slightly mysterious, that people don't see it every day. And so when you do see molten glass moving and you realize it's a material that we're surrounded by every day, windows, drinking glasses, automobile, cell phones, this is all glass, and you realize it's shaped by hand, and if not by hand, really complex machinery, informed by hand process. And so I think it does have this hidden status, and also learning about glass opens your eyes to design and craft all around you. because we're surrounded by design objects, but we forget about it. And I think glass can open that for people. So working with the LightHouse School that has sent students my way as part of their regular programming over the years, I've seen that light go off in students' eyes when they, first see the glass flowing and dripping because of gravity, and they realize they're in control of it. It's wild. And many of them come back to me semester after semester after that. And other students come in for the first day. Maybe the fire doesn't appeal to them, or they just saw what they needed to see. But even in those students I only see once or twice, they take something away from the studio visit. So I know that there is something here worth sharing with the people.
Which is possibly the most important aspect when we talk about providing the community with experiences, because just the realization that many of those elements made of glass, even now today made in massive quantities by machines, but it all applies to the old techniques from millennia. So realizing that this is a process that still today is being utilized, and that you have that control and that capacity of giving shape, giving color, giving specific treatment to the materials, even though you cannot physically touch it, is some type of paradoxical experience that I find it so fascinating and also so gratifying just by seeing it happening.
Absolutely. It's a counterintuitive. So many of the moves in glass are counterintuitive because it doesn't move the way you expect or how you think until you've done it a few times and your hands kind of adapt and you begin to predict the material. And I'm sure any craft process is like that. But it really feels apparent in glass. And people comment all the time on how satisfying it is to watch. There's something magical about it. I do think that. And I think that it's the perfect example of machine technology meeting with the hand, which is something I've really loved about glass from the beginning. It can't be done perfectly. There are many things that cannot be done by a machine, and then there's many simple moves that can. And so it's really a delicate art to design a machine-made object out of glass. And occasionally it just can't be done. And so there will always be employment for glass blowers in the fields of chemistry and university chemistry labs especially. But even in industry, there's lots of need for custom-made parts, which can be a great opportunity for someone looking for a really unique work experience.
Because thinking about those opportunities, many industries utilize glass for their work, for their products. And yeah, you were mentioning glasses and containers, but also thinking about, yes, of course, jewelry, but a lot of pieces that are necessary for a lot of electronic or electrical devices that use glass as isolation from the components, or to be semiconductors, or create more than just the visual aspect that we think of glass. The particularities being non-conductors, but at the same time reactive to electricity or other substances, creates such a vast list of uses.
Absolutely. And it's the most hypoallergenic and non-porous material we have, far more so than surgical steel. And so lots of times, in a scientific application, you might need that unreactive, pure, untaintable surface, and glass provides that. And as you mentioned, it doesn't conduct electricity, so it can be used to insulate. Or one of the crazier things I learned working in a color factory was that molten glass actually does conduct electricity. And so I'm sure in industry that's taken advantage of sometimes. And for us, it meant when you were mixing the molten glass with metal instruments, you had to be very careful and actually just kill the power to the furnace, because those were electric melters. One of a fun little side note from the foray into the color factory, which was the first job that took me from teaching back into the field of glass. It was too cool of an opportunity not to say yes to. Yeah, so I spent about 4 years working for a small manufacturer of colored glass, and we would sell to other glass artists. And now I just have a professional relationship with them. I'm a customer of the color, and also we have a few projects cooking up in the works. But I left them as a employee.
So you were mentioning that the experiences by teaching and working with organizations like LightHouse and the Care Center, but also you are currently working with an after-school program that involves other groups and other different ranges of age. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this latest round of work is it's a partnership between the Care Center and the Performance Project, which is a group based out of Springfield. And they are doing really cool work, including theatrical performances by young people. And they created this model of an after-school program and summer program called Ubuntu, which is like a South African philosophy about interconnectedness and the generosity of the human spirit. And so we practice Ubuntu, and we do that by sitting in a circle and intentionally greeting every student every day with eye contact. It's part of our circle. And we do the same at closing time. We sit in a circle and reflect on the day. The days are filled with art, drumming, and sports, and other music and other movement activities. We usually try to provide 3 activity stations for the young people to flow between or visit. And we have high school age mentors, as you mentioned. So we like to take the participants and kind of foster the values of Ubuntu, of kindness, creating art, having connection. And as they grow, they can become mentors in training and finally mentors. And so that's a paid position. And we found it adds a lot of value to the program. The younger students, who we call gems, they look up to the mentors, and you can tell how happy they are to see them day after day and do art and play games with them. And so it's been quite amazing. And it has been taking place at the Sullivan School, and we are moving to the Morgan School. So we're going to start out of a new location starting this summer.
So Morgan School, which is located in South Holyoke, and has a great opportunity for young students who are in the South Holyoke area that are also connected to most of them, their cultural identity as Puerto Ricans.
Yes.
How do you see all this different context and all different elements of the students getting involved with the teachings that you can provide in this program?
Wonderful. So we do place a lot of value on the different cultures and different identities that are represented. One of the ways we do it is in our opening circle. We always start with the welcome. We have a welcome that we say, and we start in Spanish and all of the languages that are represented in our group, ending with English. Because usually in the world you hear English first, and so we try to put the other languages first. And it's just a small aspect of the ritual, but that plays into the larger set of values, I think, of the program. And really, it's where our youth mentors shine, because they, having grown up in Holyoke typically and gone through the same schools that the gems are in, perhaps even knowing people in common or family members in common, there's a lot of chance for connection, which we found that the connection, the relationships between the students is really what makes the program successful. That's what makes the young people want to come back. The activities we offer are great, but really it's the connection and the relationships that they form. And so just being here for them for that, and opening up to every language as best as we can, and those little things seem to make a difference, where we see really engagement from the students.
I think the performance project does something really important and meaningful. Overall, all the work is just phenomenal. But I have to say that personally, when I experienced that opening, that welcoming on the circle, and listening to each one of the participants utilizing their own language, it became so powerful, because you knew what it was being said, although you do not speak the language.
Right.
Yet you could connect exactly the same way, because sharing every language in the circle, it's exactly the same, but in the proper pronunciation, the melody, and the way people talk their own language, accent, and just the joy of being able to speak your language in a space that is open and welcoming for that. I remember vividly that experience, because I was not expecting it, and when I saw it, I immediately felt that energy among all the young participants, and it was beautiful. So I can only imagine how much this can expand from just having that welcoming to then getting to experience and work together in learning how to utilize the elements of creating art or creating anything that involves using glass and the techniques that you are providing for them as a way of celebrating diversity, multiculturality, but everything that connects us, regardless where we come from.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool to see the kids be themselves and also come together. And that really happens. And also to have a young person in our welcoming circle in the beginning of the semester who maybe has never been in a setting quite like that before, after just several weeks or several months, to be saying the welcome, to be one of the people leading our circle. I didn't expect it to move me the way it did, but by the end of what was my first semester, that's what happened, and it blew my mind. And it was one of our gems who always came in, and I didn't even know he was practicing the welcome, and on the last day he asked if he could do it, and he did it beautifully. There's something really special about that, and that's something the Performance Project really they nailed it with that one, with working that into our daily routine.
So how do you feel then, after different experiences with different groups, different age ranges, and different experiences on the different classes, even though related everything to your knowledge and expertise? How do you feel it has been for you as a learning experience to be able to work with the community and to share that knowledge with them?
It's been so much fun. Among other things, it's been a lot of fun just hearing from the young people about their lives not always easy stuff. So fun is we have a lot of fun, but we also get into some serious stuff about the realities of their lives. Because while I think we all really love so much about where we are and where we live, there are challenges too, and the young people are the ones who live with that the most. And so it has been very educational for me just to have those connections and to hear from them about their lives. It's also been, it's opened my eyes to my age. I've never felt more old than working with as young of the students as we're working with. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool for me because I like to think of myself as someone who's fairly in touch with the pulse, so to speak, and what's going on. But to really be hanging out with young people and hearing what they're talking about, it has allowed me a different kind of insight than I had before, just into their daily lives and the little ways where we can offer what we have to offer, which in my case is love of art and coming together, and glass art, of course. But in this program, you know, my profession, my glass blowing, it takes a side step, and it's something I talk about with the students. They know that's what I do, but we're kind of working in painting and drawings and clay and cement pouring, things that can lead them eventually towards glass, you know, should they pursue with me or in other places.
So your program for this summer happening at Morgan, how is it going to be running? How can people get to learn more about it? How is the process of signing up, or who is eligible? Let us know all the details.
Great. So we're running at the Morgan School starting July 11th. So it's a Tuesday that we start. Our program will be running starting that Tuesday, but then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays from 9 to 2. We're mostly eligible for Morgan students, 3rd through 5th graders, so rising into 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. The program is totally free, and there will be meals provided thanks to the school lunch program and the summer meal program. We're going to be doing 3 activities during the days. So when the students arrive, we welcome everybody, we'll do our opening circle, and then break and split our group into 2 halves. So one half will come to me and do art activities. The other half goes to drumming. We have a visiting artist who's a professional drummer. He's a college student with a lot of experience, and he's going to be teaching, leading workshops on 5-gallon bucket drumming. Lots of fun. It's going to be a hoot. So we'll do the 2 activities and then switch. So everybody gets both activities each day. And in the afternoon, they'll be doing sports. We have a really cool organization called Learn in Motion. They are experts at making really fun sports activities for kids. So they're going to be leading the afternoon physical activities. And then at the end of the day, we come together, we do our closing circle, and we'll send the gems back to their families.
Usually it is known that the Performance Project loves to showcase the talents and the skills and the achievements of their participants. Is there anything on the plans for people to see what they accomplish, particularly with the drum buckets or the art that they get to create with you?
There are some loose plans in the background for a community and family celebration. That's typically part of what we do, how we culminate. So as I said, it's coming together a little bit. As the program wraps up, we'll have a date in mind. And also, this is our first program in the Morgan School. Because of the Holyoke schools restructuring this year, we are riding that wave and we're moving from one school to the other. So we're looking forward to establishing, our footprint there and really settling in so we can do a lot more of the community celebrations. We will do something to kick it off and celebrate, and really we'll be looking forward to the future and the school year, and maybe tying in with the start of the school year.
So this is the summer program that is going to be happening at Morgan School, and for all the families or relatives that that you have students with, particularly Morgan School in South Holyoke. I think it's a great opportunity to have new experiences and have fun during this summer. And aside of this, Dan, how can people get to know more about your work, to directly connect with you, particularly for your activity as an educator, but also as an artist, and to know more about your work in your studio?
Great. I will tell you a little bit about how to contact me through the Care Center. The Care Center is a really cool facility. This is a program underneath of their umbrella. So you can learn more about the Care Center at carecenterholyoke.org. And you can contact me directly by phone or email. My email is danbattat@gmail.com. And you can also find more about my studio at battatglass.com. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms I'm on them as Battat Glass. So please do visit the site, sign up for my mailing list if glass and glass related events are interesting, and be sure to check out the Care Center as well.
Perfect. Well, Dan, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you also for all the work that you have been doing for all these years, and you continue doing. I think it's a really generous aspect of from you to offer always your knowledge and engagement with, particularly with youth, about discovering the fascinating work of creating art, and particularly with your experience and your knowledge with glass, which is one very unique, particular, and fascinating way of creating things. So thank you for offering this opportunity for our community, and thank you for all your work and your energy.
Thank you, Johan. I really appreciate that. Appreciate hearing that from you. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to do what I do, and I just hope to keep doing it.